Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the video. Today we will be doing some bonus content on the channel. Normally I only cover Flesh and Blood TCG stuff, but I felt I need a little bit of evergreen content, so I'm going to do a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic and Warhammer along the side. You can expect to see some of that stuff on the channel soon. Feel free to let me know down in the comment section which game you want me to cover next. But I went ahead and I rebuilt one of my favorite decks of all time, and that is Zombies. Specifically Shiranui. Those of you that know me from my Flesh and Blood content probably know already that I'm a big fan of Japanese culture. So the whole yokai theme of Shiranui, where you can get these big, amazing spirit samurai creatures onto the field, well, in this case zombies, it just really speaks to me. I know that cards like Rivalry of Warlords are really good in a zombie deck because this one says like each player can only control one type of monster. Everything we have are zombies, so we can play as many creatures as we want, but people that do not have that do have other types, then they get kind of screwed, because if you activate this thing at the right moment, they need to sacrifice pretty much every creature except one of them if they have different creature types among the stuff. If you combine that with something like Zombie World that turns everything on the field and graveyard into a zombie, you actually make it so that a lot of decks cannot perform at all. If you can get this rivalry with Zombie World onto the field, then in most case scenarios the opponent will not really be able to summon anything at all onto the field anymore, which is really nice. And we have some very cool interactions in the deck in general. So we have the Spirit Master. If this one is banished, you can destroy a face-up card on the field. We have the whole combo with the Shiranui Solitaire. If you play this one, you can sacrifice it to fetch yourself a uni-zombie from the deck. Then this one can go and dump a Mizuki into the graveyard, and then the Mizuki can bring back the Solitaire, so you can summon yourself a good old-fashioned Shiranui Shogun Saga. This one lets you banish a creature from the graveyard to boost its attack. In most cases you will be banishing the uni-zombie early on, so you have straight away, right off the bat, you have a 4300 beat stick that you can start attacking in with, which is very nice. One of the newer Shiranui cards that I personally haven't really played with yet when I quit, because this is a newer card, I believe, is Shiranui Squire. But this is like a one card synchro as well, because when you normal summon this card, you can special one Shiranui Spectral Sword from your deck or hand to the field, which you can then synchro summon with. Usually you want to go for the, what's it called, the Shiranui Spectral Sword Shade, if you want to have a nice attacker, because this one plus the Spectral Sword Shade lets you go into the Shiranui Squire Saga. I'm running two right now. The extra deck is not really complete yet. I'm playing free to play, so there's a lot of extra deck monsters that I would kind of want to have in here, but I just don't have the gems or resources for yet. Things like the Super Polymerization, I only have one copy right now, even though I would like to. But anyways, you go into your Squire Saga, and this one says you can only special summon Shiranui Squire Saga once per turn, and then once per turn you can banish one face-up monster you control or in your graveyard, then apply these effects in sequence. Depending on what the monster was before it was banished, if it was any of these, if it's a zombie, you can have all your monsters gain 300, so this 2100 monster becomes a 2400 attacker. If it's a fire monster, you can destroy one spell or trap on the field. This is really great because you can kind of selectively target some back row and get rid of that. And if you combine it with something like the Shiranui Spirit Master, you can even destroy some face-up thing on the field, which is just really sweet. And then the last effect says, like, if it's a synchro monster, you can destroy one monster on the field as well. So in the late game, if you already have some Shiranui synchro monsters on the field, then you kind of meet all these requirements at once. So for one, you get the 300 attack boost, for two, you get the spell and trap removal, and then thirdly, you can get rid of one of your opponent's monsters as well. The card that really makes this deck work, and that I probably should be getting a second copy of, is Doomking Balerdroch right there. This one says, during the standby phase, if a face-up card in a field zone is in a field zone, well in our case it will be Zombie World, and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position. You can only use this effect of Doomking Balerdroch once per turn. And then it says, once per chain, when a zombie monster except Doomking Balerdroch activates this effect. Keep in mind this is your opponent's monsters as well with Zombie World, because all their creatures will be zombies as well in the graveyard and on the field. You can activate quick, you can use this quick effect which says you can apply one of these effects, but the same effect can only be used once a turn. You can either negate the effect, so if the opponent activates an effect that you don't like and you want to stop, you can negate that. Or if they activate something, you can even just go ahead and banish that thing on the field. This is really cool. Like, if you can get this thing onto the field early, you can kind of have a nice combo that every single activation from your zombies lets you banish one monster on your opponent's side of the field, and you also have this negation ready in case they want to use some kind of a... Sorry, had to swallow that. If they want to use some kind of a monster effect to negate whatever you are doing. So I really like this card. This goes especially well together with Glower Bulb. So this one says if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can do that relatively easily with Unizombie or Gozuki, I believe, as well. Like this one lets you send a card from your deck to the graveyard. But anyways, when this one goes to the graveyard, you can add one level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. If Zombie World is a field, if Zombie World is in a field zone, you can special summon it from your deck instead. So this is good because if you have Zombie World on the field already, you can just try and dump the Glower Bulb into your graveyard. Then you go ahead and you fetch yourself the Doomking Balerdroch, and then you can special summon it onto the field straight away, so you can stop all those pesky effects that stop you from making your plays properly. And right now I'm running 2 copies of, where is it, Banshee. This one, if it's in the graveyard, you can, as a quick effect, you can banish it to find a Zombie World and put it onto the field right away. Once I have a third Zombie World, I will probably cut 1 copy of this. 2 is a little bit too many. I am running 2 right now because we do have some discard effects in the deck right now in the form of Ghost meets Girl or Shiranui Story. So this one, if the opponent controls a monster, you can discard a zombie, so either the Glower Bulb or the Banshee, and then you can special summon a Shiranui monster with a different name from your deck. Usually you want to go for the Solitaire, since this is a 1-card combo to go into a big play. But yeah, you have many routes to get to one of your big Shiranui early on. Solitaire is a 1-card play. We have the Squire Saga, which is a 1-card play to get into a big zombie engine. And then these Ghost meets Girl cards also as a 1-card play, because you can fetch these straight from the deck and go off like that. But yeah, like I said, the sideboard is not done yet. Right now I'm running a Book of Moon. It's kind of like a budget, how to say, like I realized like a lot of effects that opponents use nowadays, they need their stuff to be face up for like XYZ summons and stuff like that. So at the right time, if you can target something and put it face down, you can kind of waste a turn like that. But I'm probably going to cut this in the future and just put in a Book of Life or something, so we have some more zombie revitalization, or maybe a Harpy's Feather Duster. I don't have the Harpy's Feather Duster yet, but being able to destroy the whole back row of the opponent is just super good. I might try to fit in something like a Raigeki as well, because if you can attack in with all your zombies in one turn, you can kind of go for an OTK. And something that I want to experiment with that I haven't really done so yet is try to incorporate some kind of a Vendred engine to kind of go off with all the Vendred negation effects as well. I used to really like Vendreds in this deck, but I don't have the cards yet, so this is what I'm going with. If you want to build a completely fully optimized zombie deck, you probably need to go for something like this. I believe this is a deck list that is very similar to all the top tier zombie decks out there. But like you can see, I don't have any Call from the Graves. I don't have my second copy of Balerdroch. I don't have the side. The side is just really good in general, especially in combination with the Link Summon. Where is it? Here we go. Like this Link Summon is also very good. When an effect on another card on the field is activated, you can set one artifact monster from your hand or deck to your spell, so you can just fetch this one directly from the deck and put it there to disrupt your opponent. It's just really good. There's no way around it. It's just a really good card. But I don't have them, so yeah, we're going to jump into some pre-recorded footage, some replay footage I should say, and I will narrate it a bit to kind of guide you through what plays I'm making, why I'm making them, and how to play this deck. I think the zombie deck in general is a very fun anti-meta deck in general. Not so much that it is a very strong deck per se, but simply because you can deal so much damage early on, and it's just very thematic. Like, just look at the artwork of all these cards. Like, they are just very beautiful cards in my opinion, especially the Shogun Saga. Like, that's just this kind of artwork inspires me to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know about you, like, I love to see cards like this. So let's jump into some games and I will see you all in a bit. Alright, here we go. So with a hand like this, you can straight away see with the Shiranui Squire, we have a turn 1 Synchro Monster ready for us to get going with. And since we have the Monster Reborn, we could even go ahead and get back one of our tuners in order to go into one of our even bigger Synchro Monsters and just have a very big beat stick in the early game. At this point, I was just looking to see what the opponent is playing. They seem to be playing a Witchcrafter deck, which is rather popular, I would say. I see a lot of people playing it on the Master Duel client. I don't know if this is a top tier deck. Feel free to let me know down below. I'm still very new to this deck, but they went ahead and they negated my Shiranui Squire summon right there. I should probably have read the card at this time and maybe I've gone for something like a Uni-Zombie instead to load up my graveyard. That would have probably been the better play here, but I didn't read. I'm the kind that just likes to learn by experience, so I learned it the hard way right there. But that's fine because I believe in the long run we managed to string some nice plays together anyways. So draw phase, we draw into a zombie world, which is kind of nice. I went ahead and placed the zombie world down first. I wanted to kind of test the waters if they were going to try and negate that or something. I went for, they go for the Uni-Zombie Destruction, but I still managed to get the Glow-Up Bulb into the graveyard. And at this point it's just game over for them in my opinion, because once you have the Balerdroch onto the field, it becomes very hard for them to activate their effects, because every time I can negate something or I can banish something off their side of the field. So my game plan here is to just play the long conservative game and to try and just keep the good stuff off the field and make sure that I have my zombie world on here. I still have the discard effect here, so I go ahead with my Uni-Zombie like that. I managed to negate that activation, which would have negated my Uni-Zombie. So I load up the Mizuki in there. This allows me to get the Squire back, which then allows me to go into one of my big synchro plays. I go ahead and I banish that thing. I kind of want to keep this onto the field for now, simply because if I can attack in with my big Shiranui Shogun Saga, I can deal damage here. I wasn't sure if they already activated their effect at this point. I also don't really know how to check it, but here we go. They managed to protect it once, then the second time it's destroyed right there. And now we're in a very good position. We have our Book of Moon to flip something face down if need be on their side. I think that's also very good against a deck like this, a Book of Moon, because they have so many effects that requires that thing to be face up. I went ahead and I negated that, thinking that should stop their entire turn chain, but apparently they have a lot of other shenanigans to banish stuff from the graveyard in order to go in like that. I activate my Book of Moon. They in response just sacrifice that thing. I should have saved my Book of Moon for a bigger creature in general, but oh well. Again, I'm still new, I'm still learning, but these are things that I just need to get used to in the long run. That's the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays, the text boxes are so big in my experience that it becomes very hard to really know what's going on unless you really take your time to read every single thing. So I feel Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want to learn to play it, don't get discouraged by the text boxes too much. Just play, try to gain some experience and try to learn the effects simply through playing is how I've always done it. I know it's not really the most optimal way to do it, but if you need to memorize every single card, it just doesn't work. Sometimes you just need to go by memory from playing, and that's the better way to do it. But yeah, let's go on to the next game. And for our next opponent, we're up against Klaus, and we have a bit of a weird hand. We got a Shiranui Spirit Master, but we don't really have any proper way to go into a synchro without overextending. So I decided I would just take this turn to load up my graveyard with a Shiranui Spectral Sword and the Spirit Master, which helps us prepare for the next turn and when I want to go off. Having the Spirit Master in there is quite good because banishing it with the Spectral Sword allows me to destroy a face-up card as well. I went ahead and I used Ghost Ogre on that. Again, I'm not sure if that is the correct target here. Feel free to let me know down below. I'm still learning all the effects. But we end up losing our Uni-Zombie. The opponent is able to attack in with quite a bit of force there. But nothing too big, we are still alive. And now we have to draw a face. We end up drawing into a Shiranui Squire. So at this point I feel like I should do this play first, simply because it may lure out some of the back row. And at the same time we still have the Shiranui Squire in order to go for a big synchro play. And I made a bit of a misplay in this game, which you will see later, because I thought, I read this one that you need 2+ zombie monsters to summon this, but what I did not realize in case of the Link monsters, that's actually a Link 3 monster, which means that I need 3 monsters. So what you will see me do is, in this case, I end up banishing the Shogun Saga to push this one to 5500 attack, which is really significant. It means we can do 5500 damage straight away. I go into my Sea Monster of Theseus hoping to summon my Link monster, but then when I was trying to summon, I suddenly realized that I needed 3 things instead. So that was a little bit of a misplay. I wouldn't have needed to play the Theseus. I could have maybe kept it for a future turn, but it did make me realize that I might need like a synchro level 9 in here, some kind of a zombie, so I have something to go into when I do get my sea monster onto the field. But still, we had a very significant board. We were able to deal and play around the back row quite a bit. If we had someone managed to go into the Link play, we could maybe have even summoned back the 2500 monster as well, so it would have been just better to have kept the Theseus in my hand in case they had not forfeit right there. But we got to do a lot of fun zombie shenanigans, so yeah, let's go on to the next game. Alright, here is our next opponent. We have a very solid hand. We have a 1-card synchro in hand right now. Since we are going first, I decided to put the Glow Bulb down first. It gives us a little bit of protection against whatever they do. And then with the Glow Bulb in the graveyard, we can get our Balerdroch onto the field straight away. It turns out the opponent is playing some sort of a ritual deck, and they go for the Demise King of Armageddon straight away. I decide to activate my Shiranui Spectral Swallow Slash right now so that they don't have the chance to activate the Demise, because this one would destroy all other cards on the field, and I really need my zombie world to stay here. It did mean that I needed to destroy my, my rivalry of Warlords with the style Swallow Slash, because this forced me to target 2 cards at once. But oh well, it's what it is. So we get the Balerdroch on the field, and at this point we have that nice negate and the banish effect active at all times, which means that we can really take advantage and do some shenanigans with that. I believe I ended up activating the Balerdroch a little bit too early in the next turn, but oh well, I'm still learning. So we got the Solitaire play, which fetched the Uni-Zombie from the deck. With the Uni-Zombie we dumped the Mizuki into the graveyard, which allows us to bring back the Solitaire, and now we can go into Shogun Saga. Then the Shogun Saga allows us to banish one of our zombies from the graveyard in order to buff its attack. In this case we just banish the Uni-Zombie because that has the most attack power at this point of time. And we get the opponent down to 900 life on the first turn, which is very decent. We have a negate ready, we have a banish ready later on. I ended up using the Balerdroch straight away, and I believe I ended up... I think I ended up banishing this one, if I'm not mistaken, but then the opponent responded by playing the Cycle of the World straight away, which kind of ruined my Balerdroch play in general there. I thought if I had banished that thing, they might not have the resources in order to play a ritual card at all, but the opponent seems to have played around it. They go ahead, banish, They go ahead and they destroy my Shogun Saga. I ended up banishing the Squire, I believe, so I can get a card draw and a discard. And then it's back to my turn. So at this point I just go for the Spirit Master, which allows me to summon back the Shogun Saga. I go for the banish as well to get rid of their card. The Shogun Saga then comes back onto the field thanks to the special summon from the Spirit Master. And at this point I just need to make sure that this back row is nothing too big. I just go in for lethal. Turns out they didn't really have anything there, it was probably just some ritual spell or something. And that was yet another victory for the Shiranui deck. I believe this was in the high silver tier, so the opponents are getting a little bit tough, but at the same time you sometimes get a deck like this which seems to be just a starter deck or something like that. So do keep that in mind. You will face some really strong opponents that have really splurged a lot of money into this game, and you also face people that are just running starter decks, and I think most of your opponents that you will be having some decent plays against are opponents like this in general. Alright, and now for our last opponent for the day, we are up against some kind of a Witchcrafter deck, I believe. And in this case I just go for the zombie world straight away, because with the Glower Bulb in the graveyard it does allow me to go for the Balerdroch onto the field straight away, which is really showcases the power of Balerdroch. I might even want to include like a second copy of Glower Bulb simply because of how good it really is. But yeah, the opponent is going to do a chain of effects now with their spellcrafters. I'm still kind of trying to figure out like which part of the chain is the best target to negate, because usually I only have one negate from the Balerdroch. I decide to go for it right there, which might not really be the correct move yet, but I thought like maybe if I somehow negate that one then I can stop their entire line of play, but it seems they can just continue going on anyway, so that might have been a bit of a mistake right there. The 2400 thing is now activated. I decide to try and go for a banish onto that thing with the Balerdroch. So here we go, I managed to banish that one, but they still get the effect to get rid of the zombie world. I had to use my Balerdroch right there, because once the zombie world is gone, I can no longer react to their effects. So they have two back row right there, which is something I do want to kind of get rid of straight away. I end up banishing one of the things from the graveyard, just because I didn't want them to have anything ready there in case they want to make some play. They ended up having a call by the grave, which kind of stops my play in general. They banished my Spectral Sword there, which kind of a shame because that was the thing I was trying to go into. Here I summoned the Theseus and I was thinking to go into the Link summon straight away, but then I realized that, oh wait a second, if I attack in with my monsters first and then go into the Link summon is probably just better in general. I ended up going for the Skill Saga Supremacy, even though I don't really have anything in the banish zone yet. But I thought it might just be better to go for it, have a 2300 creature on the field, which may be a little bit harder for them to attack into. I still have the Shiranui Swallow Slash on the field as well, so if they build a board I can destroy those. A little bit sad at this point though, because the Doom King cannot really negate the stuff, because we have lost our our zombie world at this point, so I just need to wait and see and just wait for the right moment to activate this Swallow Slash, maybe get rid of that trap card and at the same time the creature card. I ended up doing that right here. They ended up getting rid of my Doom King, unfortunately. I believe the Doom King got sent to my hand, if I'm not mistaken, by this thing. Yeah, there we go. But we still get the Swallow Slash off to destroy those two things. And they have their thing which I can just destroy by banishing one of my Spirit Masters with the Swallow Slash. The Swallow Slash is so great to be able to get rid of a bunch of stuff at once. I ended up putting the zombie world back onto the field thinking I could special summon the Balerdroch, and then I went like, oh wait a second, this is not the Glower Bulb effect. Like normally when you get the Balerdroch from the deck with Glower Bulb you can straight away summon onto the field, but just having the zombie world in the field is not enough to get the Balerdroch out of the hand. They ended up going for a Maxi, and at this point I was curious because on the one hand they are low enough life that I can just go for lethal, especially since their board is completely clear right here. But I didn't want to risk it. I don't know what this deck can really do, so I just went for a small attack instead. And then the Balerdroch would come back onto the field in order to negate a bunch of their stuff, so they realized that, they went for the surrender, and I think this game in general really showcases all the shenanigans that a zombie deck can pull off. We saw some Glow Bulb action. We didn't really get to see a proper Synchro summon, but we did get our Link summon onto the field. Maybe going into the Link Tree monster earlier wasn't really the best play. I could probably have just kept the instant fusion in my hand and just kept the regular zombies on the field in order to use those for materials with the Swallow Slash. But I don't know, having a big beat stick on the field seemed like the right thing to do at the time. But yeah, I definitely need to really improve my competitive skill when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! But if you like casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Gameplay and you want me to do more of these kind of videos, feel free to reach out. I really love zombie decks. I will probably continue optimizing this deck, and then once I get better and better, you will see my skill and gameplay footage improve as well. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. If you want to support my channel, I mostly cover Flesh and Blood content, and I'm now going to be doing some Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! On the side, as well as some Warhammer. You can always subscribe to my Patreon, and if you're a Flesh and Blood player, you can always support me by buying a playmat off my website kuganegaming.com. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.